My name is Margaret, and I am 68 years old. I am a single mother. My husband died many years ago when my son was still a very small boy. From that day, my life changed forever. I had to become both a mother and a father to my child. I had no one else in this world except him. When my husband passed away, I felt very scared because I did not know how I would raise a child alone. But when I looked at my son sleeping peacefully beside me, I suddenly felt strong. I promised myself that I would protect him and never let him feel alone. Life was not easy. I worked very hard every day. I cooked simple food, washed clothes with my hands, and sometimes cleaned other people's houses to earn money. Many nights I went to bed tired and hungry, but I always made sure my son ate first. When he smiled, my pain became lighter and my heart felt happy. When my son was little, he often fell while learning to walk. Each time he cried and reached for me, I held his hands and said, "Don't be afraid. I am here." When he became sick, I stayed awake the whole night, touching his forehead and praying that he would get better. Slowly, year after year, my son grew up. My hair turned gray and my body became weak, but my love for him never became weak. When my son became a young man, he started working in the fields. Every evening I waited for the sound of his footsteps outside the house. I cooked his dinner and kept the house clean. When he came home tired from work, I felt happy just seeing him safe. I never wanted money or comfort. My son was enough for me. One day my son came to me and said, "Mother, I want to get married." I smiled and told him that if it made him happy, then I was happy too. Inside my heart I felt a little fear, but I did not show it. I knew my life would change again. When his wife came to live with us, I welcomed her kindly. She was young and beautiful, and I told her that this house was her home now. I tried to help her in the kitchen and showed her where things were kept. But after a few days, I felt something was wrong. She spoke to me in short and cold words. She avoided looking at me. When I tried to help her cook, she said she already knew what to do. Slowly, I stopped speaking much because I did not want to cause problems. One evening my son came home very late from the fields. His clothes were dusty and his face looked very tired. He sat down and asked his wife for some water, but she did not answer. After some time, he asked again for dinner, but still there was no reply. I was in the next room and could hear everything because our house was small. Soon I heard her crying loudly. She told my son that I hated her and that I shouted at her all the time. She said I called her lazy and stupid. Those words were not true, but I stayed silent. My son tried to calm her and asked her to live peacefully with me. But she became angry and said there was no dinner because she could not cook while I kept telling her what to do. Then she said something terrible. She told my son that he must choose between her and his mother. That night my son went to bed hungry, and I lay awake staring at the ceiling. My heart felt heavy, and I quietly prayed to God to guide my son. The next morning I heard her again asking him to make a decision. Then she said cruel words that I will never forget. She told my son to push me off the hill because I was old and would die soon anyway. She said they could live happily together without me. That day my son was very quiet. He did not eat, and he did not look at me. For the first time in my life, I felt afraid of my own child. That night he came to me and said softly, "Mother, we are going on a journey tomorrow." When I looked into his eyes, I understood everything. My heart broke, but I stayed calm and simply nodded. The next morning he carried me on his back and started walking toward the hill. The path was rocky and the air was cool. I did not ask him any questions. As we climbed higher, his breathing became heavy. I looked around and remembered all the moments of my life with him. I remembered feeding him with my own hands and holding him when he cried. I remembered protecting him from the world. I thought that if my life ended today, I had no regrets. When we reached the top of the hill, I spoke softly and said, "My son, I know why you brought me here." He stopped walking immediately. I told him that when he pushed me, he should be careful and hold a tree branch so he would not fall. When he turned to look at me, his eyes were full of tears. He asked me how I knew. I smiled sadly and said, "A mother always knows." He slowly put me down and began to cry. He said he was going to kill me, and yet I was still worried about his safety. I gently touched his hand and told him that a mother's love never ends. After a long silence, he lifted me again, but this time he carried me down the hill instead of pushing me. When we returned home, he sent his wife away. I did not stop him, and I did not speak badly about her. I only thanked God quietly. Now my son and I live peacefully together. I cook for him, and he takes care of me. Our house is quiet again. I have learned that a mother's love asks for nothing in return. A mother's love never dies. And we should never forget the person who gave us everything.